want to do with the donkey's ears. Firm but gentle. like to introduce my bride. This is Howdy Fowler. She's my test pilot in a lot of these situations. And the reason she is, I want to show folks this is easy. That anybody can do it. You don't have to be big and strong and ugly like I am to do it. You can be slender and beautiful and still get this done. Now I'll tell you what my wife's going to do today. This is the first time that this donkey cowboy has ever been ridden. You're going to see the very first ride. We have been working with him just about an hour now, and so you're going to see the first ride that this donkey's ever had, and hopefully it goes good. I got her a parachute in case it don't. Right that you found it, I will turn around and get my donkey.
Donkey to let him know that I'm on his back so he doesn't spook while I'm up here. I don't want him to forget that I am on him.
Okay, ready and real quick?
Yep.
That's it. That's how you start making a saddle donkey. This is day one. We'll go on with day two tomorrow. We'll finish up on day three on the outside. God bless and have a good evening. Here we are on day two of working with Cowboy, the mammoth saddle donkey, or soon to be saddle donkey. And what we're going to do whenever we start out today, well, let me back up here just a minute. Yesterday we worked with this donkey just about an hour. And an hour is just about the right time to work with a green animal, because a donkey is kind of like an oxen. You have to teach an oxen how strong he is. Well, you have to teach a donkey how much endurance he's capable of. And you don't want to go too far and burn him out and have him throw himself down on the ground. So I'd like to clarify again, we worked with him just about an hour yesterday, got him rode for the first time, got him around the pen without him throwing himself down or bucking anybody off. So today, whenever we start out, we are going to take and warm him up just like we did yesterday. The only thing is I'm going to be on foot instead of on this other donkey for a while. But I'm going to go in and work him and get him warmed up, get him thinking about being trained, get him to thinking about following our leadership, and that's very important. And I'll play with him with the rope a little bit more, and then we're going to saddle him and ride him. But today, we're going to raise the bar a little bit. We're going to get him to pull a tire. We're going to start teaching him how to turn his head so we can start turning him with the bridle. If you'll notice, whenever we rode the donkey for the first time, and the next few times that we ride him without a bridle. And the reason is because a donkey needs to learn to travel. He doesn't need to be confused by having his mouth jerked on, by having people panicking and pulling on his mouth, trying to stop him and then trying to make him go and everything. We have this donkey in a round pen. He can't escape from us. He can't go anywhere. And so if we've got him in here, we don't care really which direction he's going or how he's going, just as long as he's moving forward. We do not want to distinguish the forward impulsion in the donkey. And that's what a lot of people do whenever they start out. They confuse the animal by sending too many signals. We've got one thing in mind, and that's getting him rode and having him walk out freely and not being hindered in any fashion. And so that's why we start these donkeys without a bridle on them the first few times we ride them. There's plenty of time later to teach him how to turn and to stop. But right now, we want him to learn it's okay to walk out with a human in a saddle on his back. Now we're going to get started with our warm-up because we don't want this donkey's mind on playing and other distractions. We want him to be thinking about what we need him to do while we're working him. So we're going to go ahead and start warming him up now. again, we're going to go back to the basics, just like what we done just a minute ago. We got him in there and warmed him up. We refreshed his mind. We got him locked into what we want to do. I want to keep him gentle. I don't want him to be spooking or jumping from ropes. And so we're going to take this rope here and we're going to play with him a little bit, just to keep into his mind that he has nothing to be afraid of when it comes to ropes. We don't want him spooking at paper on the ground or anything else. So if we take the rope and we rope his feet, we throw it over his back, touch him with it and stuff, that's one thing less he has to spook at in life. Makes him a safer saddle animal. There, walk. Yep. Yep. On Burro. Get up there. I'll wait for this guy to pass. Yeah. Yeah. That's how gentle you want your donkey, right there. That's what you can accomplish by using a rope and just playing with the animal a while, getting him used to things. There's a false teaching out there now that if you rope an animal, you've traumatized it and it'll never be mentally complete again. But you can see, if a rope is utilized in the correct fashion, you just make them gentler and safer. Most animals that are scared of a rope are scared of a rope not because they've been roped, but they're afraid of the rope because they've been roped improperly. Again, we're careful about the ears. We can rope him. We can take the rope off, but we're careful not to get him head shy. We're careful not to burn his ears with the rope. We're careful not to slap him around with the rope. And so, you don't even got to catch your animal. And I can't stress this enough. I'm fortunate to be able to rope and to catch what I rope at. But some of y'all may not be ropers. Get you a soft cotton rope. Simply throw it on that donkey. Pull it across his back. Or take that rope. If you don't like having his feet messed with, Throw that rope down around his feet. Pull it up around there, let it touch him. And if he spooks and gets a little nervous and runs around the corral, again, there's an ocean on each side of this. He can't get away from you. There's no place for him to go. He's got to settle down after a little while. Don't worry, you're not going to traumatize him. He's going to learn just like you did when you was in school and came up against something you didn't understand. It's very important that you take and play at the donkey's rump with a rope, because one of these days you're going to put a britchin on it, or a little kid's going to walk up behind him, and you don't want him spooking and kicking at everything behind him. So just kind of play with him. That's how an animal gets gentle, by playing with him and interacting with him. Okay, we've warmed him up, we've worked with him with the rope, we've made sure the spooks are out of him. Now what we're going to do with this donkey, we're going to resaddle him today. And like we did yesterday, we're going to sack him out a little bit with the saddle pad to make sure he's not going to be jumping and kicking at us and everything. And I'm also going to show you how to properly saddle a green donkey. The biggest mistake a lot of people make is they get their saddle and they try to sneak up on the animal with the saddle, like being easy is what they think they're doing. A cougar or a panther sneaks up real easy on its prey. So when you take that saddle and you start sneaking up on a donkey or a mule or a horse, first thing it does is get ready to fight or flight. So what you want to do is walk in, you want to be in control, you want that animal to understand you're a leader and you're not about to eat it. And so that's what I'm going to show you today, is a proper way to saddle one of these green animals so you don't have an animal that's an idiot about saddling the rest of its life. Sacking out is probably one of the most important things you can do, because if an animal's got a problem with anything, it'll usually come out when you're sacking them out. And if they throw a fit or kick or something, that's what they don't want you to do. That's what you're going to do the most. If they show resentment, or if they rebel against something you do, then you go back in there and that's what you do it until they stand up and act like they're supposed to. Walk around an animal, you want to stay in close to him. You want to come around, that way if he kicks, he's just going to get you with the blunt part of the kick instead of the power end of it. It's better to have a bruise than a broken rib. So whatever you do on one side of an equine, you got to be sure to do on the other side, because these animals have almost two separate brains. And you've never been cleaned out yet till you go around and do something on one side of an animal, and then step around to the other and go to do it, and he'll act like he's absolutely never saw you before. He's liable to put a foot in your belly. So be very tedious and committed to working on both sides of the animal. If you put the saddle on from the left-hand side, then make sure you go around to the right-hand side and put the saddle on too. Make sure you can saddle him and get on and off from both sides. And that way there's no big surprises one day when you get in a bind and all of a sudden have to do something on the right-hand side that you've never done before. Make it a point always. If you curry him on the left-hand side, then walk around to the right-hand side and curry him. But make sure you do whatever you do it on both sides of the animal. So we'll continue sacking him out. You want to make sure he's good about his hind legs. If you ever come in and you're sacking one of these donkeys, keep this arm up here on their hip. You're leaned against him. And that way if that animal kicks, you can get away from him. Or if he whirls his hind end to you, you can push away from him and get out of there. But you want to be very meticulous about working with a donkey's hind end. The rule of thumb, if they got long ears and 4 legs, they will kick you. And so you want to get them as gentle about their hind legs as possible. And while you're sacking them out, every so often, take your pad and throw it over there and let it fall on the other side. Kind of surprise them a little bit. Let them know that that could happen. Walk back around there, get your pad, play with them a little bit, throw it underneath them. You never know when that might be you laying underneath there. So you sure don't want them jumping and kicking at you. Well, we've got this animal sacked out. Now we're going to saddle him. As I was talking about earlier, this is what a lot of amateurs do whenever they go to saddle an animal. They get everything gathered up on the saddle so there's nothing flopping, nothing going to spook them. And then they start sneaking up like this, going, whoa baby, well, you look like some monster sneaking up on him. So what you want to do, just leave your laddie goes down, get a hold of things where you can handle it, walk up, talk to your animal a second, pet him, let him know you're there, and just put the saddle on. And if he jumps, take it off, put the saddle on again. And you do that until the animal stands to be saddled. And I can't stress this enough. We have used this technique on hundreds of animals over the years. A few thousand people have saw us do it by now. We do this with domestic donkeys and feral BLM donkeys. We've started everything from 5-year-olds on up to 12 and 15-year-old donkeys that have never been touched. And we've been very successful. And I have no reason to lie to you. If you'll walk up there like you're in control, like you're the leader, and start saddling your animal and not hiding things from him, you're going to have a much better and much safer saddle animal. Again, we've done that on one side. We're going to come around here and do it on the other. Got this long latigo here. I'm not going to bring it all the way up. I'm going to leave it down so it kind of flops and pops a little bit. I'm just going to put my saddle on. Just like that. A lot of times, I won't even tie my donkey up to saddling for the first few times. But for those of you that are in town, or maybe of a little smaller stature than I am, find you a good post, tie that donkey where he's solid and can't get away from you, and then work with him. And just because he's good a day or two, don't untie him. He can be faking you out. Again, we throw the saddle on and off, we move it around. We don't want no surprises. The more spooks you take out of one, the earlier in the game, the better he's going to be the rest of his life. We're going to go ahead and cinch him up now. And always keep your arm in there. And watch your head. You don't want to get down there and get kicked between the eyes or something. Kind of get your laddie go through your cinch. Like this. And you want to work quickly, especially with a young donkey where there might be a chance of him throwing himself down. And I cinch my saddle like the old Eastern Oregon buckaroos. You can use a hatchet knot or you can use the tongue in your cinch. But the whole thing is, you want to pull that cinch up just good enough to hold your saddle on.